Being the black sheep of the family does have its perks. No one pays attention to what you're doing, especially when your family is too busy hoarding wealth and attending glamorous parties. As for me, well, I opted to be the gardener of our family mansion, voluntarily picking weeds and pruning roses instead of prancing around in Armani suits. Why on earth do you enjoy that dirty work, Mason? Mom once asked, her face scrunched up like she'd smelled something foul. Why not, Mom? It's more real than anything in there. I pointed at our mansion. But you're a Sullivan. You have responsibilities, Dad would often chime in. Like Ashton, busy sleeping his way through Hollywood. My relationship with Ashton, my golden boy elder brother, was complex. He was the heir, the apple of our parents' eyes, always the star of the show. Then again, he actually wanted all that attention. The fame, the fortune, all the dazzling lights, they were all his. I was more comfortable in the shadows, watching life unfold like a never-ending sitcom. I was in the middle of yanking a particularly stubborn weed when I heard her voice. Mason? Turning around, I saw Amelia, Ashton's latest conquest. Well, more than just a conquest if the tabloids were to be believed. What's up, Princess? Ashton trade you in for a newer model? But then I couldn't help but noticing her teary eyes. Ashton, he's denying the baby. The world seemed to stop spinning for a moment. Ashton had really messed up this time. My parents, ever the strategists, decided the best way to clean up this mess was to pass Amelia off as my wife. It's for the family, Mason. You understand, don't you? Mom implored, her eyes begging me to agree. So there I was, suddenly promoted from the gardener to the man of the house. At our farce of a wedding, I raised a glass and declared, "To Ashton, for trading my weeds for roses," and the room filled with laughter. Life's a cruel joker, you see. Ashton, unable to handle the guilt, made a reckless mistake, leaving me as the reluctant king of our corporate empire. But as they say in Game of Thrones, when you play the Game of Thrones, you win or you die. And I wasn't planning on dying anytime soon. All right, you want to hear the juicy bits, don't ya? Buckle up, 'cause things are about to get real. Here's the thing about my brother Ashton. He was like a knockoff James Bond, all suave and charming, but with the responsibility level of a Kardashian. The man couldn't be trusted with a goldfish, let alone a child. So when Amelia told me she was pregnant, and Ashton was dodging his daddy duties like they were bullets from a villain's gun, I wasn't surprised. What do you want me to do, Amelia? I asked her, genuine confusion etching lines across my forehead. I mean, what was I supposed to do? Offer to babysit? I need your help, Mason, she pleaded, looking so lost and vulnerable. This was a side of her I hadn't seen before. She was always so strong, so confident. Seeing her like this, it rattled me. And so, my folks come up with the most insane plan since, I don't know, Ocean's 11. Amelia and I, we were to play house, legally, as in matrimonially, to avoid a scandal, they said. To protect the family name, they said. Apparently, they were okay with a shotgun wedding, but a love child? Oh no! The horror! I can't believe I'm saying this, I muttered to myself, staring at the reflection in the mirror on my wedding day. But Ashton, you always know how to throw a party. The ceremony itself was a blur. The reception was even blurrier. By the time I got to make my speech, I was seeing double. To Ashton! I raised my glass, my voice carrying through the hall. I felt like I'd signed my life away, handed over on a silver platter to my family's machinations. And for what? For Amelia? For the baby? Or just another punchline in this never-ending dark comedy? Well, Ashton, old boy, I might just have to thank you. I came for the weeds and ended up with a mansion, a wife, and a kid. Talk about an upgrade. My life had changed overnight, and not in the I just won the lottery way. No, more like the I just accidentally became a mob boss way. But hey, if Ashton could handle it, so could I, right? Wrong. As it turned out, Ashton couldn't handle it. Not the guilt, not the pressure, and definitely not the high-speed chase that ended his life prematurely. And just like that, my life was flipped, turned upside down. So here's to you, Ashton, for the gift of responsibility and the mess that is our family. Don't worry, brother. I'll take care of everything. After all, I have experience with weeds. Now, where did I put that damn weed whacker? I have a garden to tend to. You'd think Ashton's death would spark some sort of family solidarity, wouldn't you? If you did, you clearly haven't met my family. Their eyes glinted with ill-concealed greed even as they dabbed at their crocodile tears during the funeral. The day Ashton died, I visited his grave alone. Amelia was nowhere to be found, probably held up by her star actress commitments. You idiot, Ashton, I said to his headstone. I didn't ask for this. Next thing I knew, I was thrust into the corporate world, the empire Ashton left behind. My father's words from years ago echoed in my head. You'll never understand the thrill of the chase. The victory, Mason. You're too busy playing in the dirt. Oh, the irony. Now, the dirt was millions in inheritance and the plants were my family members. Just as prickly and twice as dangerous. My aunts, uncles, cousins, they all came crawling out, expecting me to wilt like a flower in winter. I remembered that first family gathering after Ashton's death. There was an elephant in the room, and it was me. Amelia arrived late, as usual, sliding in next to me. Mason, how are you holding up? I'm the new corporate gardener. Apparently, pulling out weeds has a whole new meaning now. The room was stuffy, filled with tension. As the murmuring crescendoed, I found myself standing, wine glass in hand. The room hushed. Here's to Ashton, I began, and his grand exit, leaving me, the humble gardener, to prune the family tree. Shock rippled across their faces, but I caught a glimmer of respect in some eyes. As I sat, Amelia squeezed my hand. That's my husband. So here's to Ashton, for making this poor gardener the king of the castle. Let's see how long I can keep the throne. Then overnight, I was attending the fancy family business meeting. Oh yes, the perfect time to air their dirty laundry. You know, when I was just a kid, I began, addressing the stoic-faced board members seated around the mahogany conference table. My father taught me the family business, not the hedge funds or the mergers, but the real family business. Deception. Is this really necessary, Mason? My Uncle Peter, a man who'd made a fortune on Wall Street and a lifelong partner in my parents' plans, tried to interrupt. He was the only one who taught Ashton how to sweet-talk the press, after all. Oh, Uncle Peter, ever the Wall Street wolf. Do you remember how you taught Ashton to lie about his age to win the junior trading competition? It was brilliant. Straight out of the Wolf of Wall Street, don't you think? Or how to weave a web of half-truths and whole lies. How to be the charming scion of the Sullivan family while hiding his reckless flings. In my family, truth was always seen as a liability, not a virtue. Deception was the name of our game, a game I'm not interested in playing anymore. My words were met with stunned silence. I let the revelation sink in for a moment before turning my attention to Aunt Linda. And Aunt Linda, the matriarch. Remember when you schemed with Mom to pair Ashton with the heiress of the Hutchinson Empire, just to gain a share in their business? Too bad Ashton ran off with a pop star instead, though. Gasps filled the room. One by one, I laid their secrets bare, each revelation a checkmate. I watched as their royal statuses, built on lies and manipulation, began to crumble. The piece de resistance, though, was saved for my parents. Mom, Dad, I began, turning to face them. Their faces were ashen, but they sat with stiff-backed dignity, the king and queen in their final act. Do you remember, Dad, when you take me to the garden and teach me the names of all the different roses? Every rose has its thorn, Mason, you'd always say. I never really understood what you meant. Until now, the beautiful Sullivan family, admired by all, full of thorns underneath. I let the silence stretch, my gaze meeting each of theirs in turn. And Mom, do you recall how you'd always be planning and scheming? To you, family and power were one and the same. You even had me marry Amelia, my brother's lover, to save face. Angry mutterings filled the room. I raised a hand for silence, my voice calm but firm. I loved you all. I admired you. But you, my dear family, used our name, used me, used Ashton. And for what? Power? Money? The room was silent, each family member looking anywhere but at me. Their faces were a mixture of anger, guilt, and a little fear. I'd outplayed them at their own game, and they knew it. In the end, it wasn't difficult. Just like pulling weeds from a garden, I'd pruned away the rotten branches of the Sullivan family tree. With every exposed secret, their influence over the company waned, until I was the last one standing. So, my dear family, let's cut to the chase. You all played the game for power and lost. But me? I paused, letting a small triumphant smile play on my lips. I'm just getting started. The question is, are you with me or are you against me?